Did you guys see that it is Ruka?
But no, every picture that you guys send me.
Was it you that sent it to me?
I sent that to you, yeah. I sent it to the group. I sent it to everybody.
Oh.
No.
So
I don't
the picture,
get any pictures on the coaches group text at my house
Brett,
because
do you have
I
it?
live in the Mountainias.
So Brett sent me this picture yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before.
I just got the follow-up text that said, boom, mother effers.
Go ahead and read that out loud for me, Natalie.
Going against the mainstream idea of what a business should be or do is embraced even in the brand's design. Rivka is pronounced Ruka, but where's this from?
I found it on the internet.
So it's true, motherfuckers.
Yeah, exactly.
No, this could be any numbnut writing this.
I actually looked it up
Produced
when we
Ruka,
were...
but the U in Rivka is shaped like a V, and the A is an inverted V. These chevrons are often incorporated into various designs and promotions and stand for the company's mantra.
So I talked to you when we were over at Kenny's birthday thing over the weekend. Saw Tito, and he had a Ruka T-shirt.
Uh-huh.
And so he's like, "Oh no, it's pronounced Ruka." And so I was like, "Well, look it up." And so I looked up, and then I found those. And I was like, "Okay, we found the one time that it's supposed to be said Ruksa with an X, and now we saw that one as Ruka." I'm like, "Oh, well, whatever."
So is that not? Where did you get that?
On the internet.
I know, but
on the internet.
Yeah,
on the internet.
It just gave it to me. Here you go.
Exactly.
But
I can't remember
Is it a peer-reviewed article?
We know
Not
that
that
doesn't matter. Dog rape culture, peer reviewed. Yes, it's true.
Well, your name's still Ruka.
Her name is Ruka, but the brand is Ruka. It's Ruka. We got to find somebody. If you know the owner.
I will probably believe it when I hear it from the owner.
If you know the owner of Ruka.
Or Ruksa.
Of Ruka, the clothing brand,
right,
please contact me and let me know. I'd love to have a discussion with him about.
Or contact me, and
why.
I'll talk to him first, and then Wes can talk to him.
And then I'm going to ask Natalie, hey, did you talk to him? She'd be like, nope.
We should have him on the podcast so we can talk to him in the group.
I'm
just going to get random text messages that no picture is.
What did we do
Boom,
with
mother effers.
What did we do with the money from Coast Range Nutrition? We took a trip to Hawaii and talked to the owner of Ruka. Nothing to do with nutrition at all. Oh, man. All right, guys, we're back. Today we are discussing the group fitness model versus individual programming / open gym model. That's kind of been discussed over the last, I would say, probably year and a half pretty heavily in the CrossFit community. So basically what we're going to be covering, or what I want to talk about, is kind of peeling back the layers on what are the difference between the two. So what's the difference between doing group classes like CrossFit and going to a registered affiliate, or doing an open gym individualized program model that we see with James Fitzgerald and his OPEX model. And we're going to discuss the difference between the two. And I just kind of want to pull back the layers and do the pros and cons of both, and then kind of at the end wrap it up with like my opinion on what is the best model. So that's what I want to get out of this.
Yeah, I want to look at the tangibles of the hybrid between the two. Not saying I have an opinion, but what it could look like to hybrid the two of them, and then looking at open gym and what gyms are doing with open gym, what we do with open gym, what we think would be a good way to run open gym if it were something you were doing.
Yeah, what we're looking at in the future with that.
Yeah.
Also, you can look at the pricing of, that not everybody can afford probably an individualized coaching program like that. But if you're coming into a group gym like this, like CrossFit, what can you do if you have any certain injuries or ailments or whatever going on in your life, that you can go into class and talk to the coach beforehand and kind of get more of an individualized program for that group class.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Like why we structure our timing between classes the way that we do is to help those people out, right?
Right.
Awesome. So let's start diving into this, guys. Let's give some background on this thing. So Greg Glassman created CrossFit, and CrossFit was originally a way for him to get results he was seeing with individual clients doing functional movements executed at high intensity, but to bring down the cost for each one of those individual clients. And so he basically brought it to his clients and said, well, hey, if you got a couple friends and you guys want to do this all together and work out at the exact same time, then I can drop down the individual price of each one of you. It's because I'm doing 3 instead of 1, and it makes more sense, And then he saw that he was able to infinitely scale or modulate the workouts in a way that got each one of those individuals the same results as the fittest one of the group. Mm-hmm. And that was the model. And then it just kept growing and growing. And then there were, 5-person classes and 10 and 15 and 20 and 30. And as he built that, he saw that it was infinitely scalable, and he was able to do it in a way that lasted an hour, and everybody got a kick-ass workout, and everybody was seeing results, and it was awesome. And so that's where the group fitness model kind of came in. And then James Fitzgerald, he owns a company called OPEX, and he was a 2007 CrossFit Games champion. And over the course of the last, 11 years now, he has built his model of what he believes to be the best thing for every single individual person is not a group fitness class, but instead you have a gym that looks like a CrossFit gym. There's pull-up bars and bumper plates and kettlebells, and there's not very many machines in it at all. But it's an open gym model all day long, or whatever hours the gym owner sets. People come in whenever they would like during those hours, but they're doing a specific program that gym owner has built for them based off of their individual goals and etc. And this is going off of his website and quoting from OPEX, claims that the open gym model is the best of both worlds: community, fitness, personal improvement, client-centered goals, and safety. And I'm going to debate that very hard.
Wait, I have a question. Do you think that, well, you might have talked about this earlier, but
yeah,
are Glassman and James friends?
I don't think so.
Were they friends prior to this topic?
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about their actual friendship and stuff, but I do know I've heard a lot of podcasts with James on it, and he does not like CrossFit or Greg Glassman or the beliefs that Greg has.
Okay, so they're not friends anymore.
I don't know.
Oh.
But I don't know anything about that, but I'm going to guess from what I've heard out of James's mouth that no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've heard a couple F-bombs and then followed by Greg's name. So,
nice.
Yeah. Ooh. And he just doesn't, he made it very clear on a few podcasts that he is completely the opposite of what CrossFit believes.
Interesting.
He is that we are not the same. We don't believe the same things. We are a completely different fitness model. Do not group us in a CrossFit.
When did they
class.
unaffiliate?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
And not to maybe expand on this whole topic, but there's also all the online programs that are offered. You got the hybrid performance method. You have Miko Sala has his own programming. Dan Bailey, Julie Fischel. All these people have their own online not individual, but programs you can buy and do wherever you can do them. Mm-hmm. Would you also kind of lump that whole segment into the open gym segment, or is it something different?
Oh, man, yeah, I guess we could kind of put that in its own class in a way, because I would imagine a lot of those people are probably doing those workouts in their garage. They maybe don't have a gym membership, or they're doing the class workouts, but doing some of that extra programming off to the side after the class probably is what I would imagine. If they're in a CrossFit gym, I think that if they're in an OPEX gym, they're definitely not doing those programs. They're definitely only doing the program that the coach has built for them.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of experience with this personally with a guy I know, Chad Franco, who lives down in Oro Grande area in California. He went from being C5 CrossFit, Total CrossFit Gym group classes, to now he has an OPEX gym, and it's a 1,500 square foot strip mall, type of gym that looks like a really, really small CrossFit gym, but he runs the OPEX model. If I give you a program, you come in whenever you want during these times and you do them. We check in after the program's done, and then we make a new one for you, and we kind of keep building on that. And I went down and saw a space. It looks just like a normal CrossFit gym that you would see somewhere in a strip mall. And I don't know if it's working for him, but he seems to be really excited about it.
Do you know if each individual program, Monday through so that whatever term it is, 4 weeks, 6 week program, do they do different movements every single day of the week, or is it the same?
Depends.
It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
I think it's completely individually based off of that that person. So how much time do they have to work out every day? What is their job like? What are their goals? Like, they really sit down and, figure out, like, what can we maximize in the time that you have available versus the actual goals that you're trying to go after. And they build a program. I mean, it's pretty awesome, like, as far as individualized programming goes, like, it's pretty ideal for everybody, for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't even know, like, where to begin with this.
Well, what was the quote? Read that quote one more time.
Okay.
There are pieces of that I'm sure we could tackle.
Yeah,
like,
that's a great way to start it. I like it.
words
Okay,
in
cool.
that.
Okay, so OPEX claims that the open gym model is the best of both worlds. It has community, fitness, personal improvement, client-centered goals, and safety. And one of the things they put in after this little quote that they had in the article I was reading was that safety, or not necessarily safety, but they put after that basically versus expecting everybody to do the RX and to push the weights and to try to do movements that they shouldn't be doing. And so a lot of the stuff that really bothers me that I see put out in this open gym model space is basically it's suggesting that the coaches suck, like in the group model. That the group model coaching, the CrossFit coaches, aren't skilled enough or don't have enough experience to be able to scale or modulate a workout for 15 different people within an hour.
Yeah.
And so they're basically saying that, like, the coaches in that setting are group managers.
Right.
They're there to just basically be like, here's the workout, do the warm-up, let's work out. It's supposed to be this weight, and everybody's, like, trying to do that weight.
Well, and it's interesting. And, yes, that's what it's lending itself to. It sounds like that. And it sounds like they're basing that is exactly what they're saying. But they probably have had an experience of it, too, which I hear a lot of other gyms.
Yeah.
And so in a sense, I can disagree that up and down because I work in a community of coaches who are very good at that.
Yeah.
But I've also been to a lot of gyms where that's not necessarily that high of a priority. So he does have a little bit of basis to kind of base that on, because some gyms don't hold their coaches to the same standards that you, Wes, at CrossFit, at Coast Range do.
Yeah, no.
So
totally. And they do, like, in order to be an OPEX
Right.
gym, you have to go through a ton of training with them. You have to go through program design. You have to go through, basic understanding of the human body and stuff. And so they have a really solid base of education and how to do this stuff built into the coaches that are actually opening these gyms, right? And so the barrier to entry for an OPEX gym is much higher than the barrier to entry for opening a CrossFit gym.
Which we can appreciate. Like, that's something that I can appreciate. I can say, like, those coaches are highly trained, which is awesome. We are also, like, I've went through my L1, L2. I felt like I was given the tools to do that as well. But I think it's actually less of my level 1 and level 2 and more of what kind of investment I get at the gym that I'm at and what the expectations of me are.
Yeah, it's a continuing education.
Right. And I think if I was just at a gym that didn't really facilitate, well, maybe this isn't true, but if I wasn't,
you would do
yeah,
it.
if I wasn't Natalie and maybe I was just a coach who was doing this on the side for fun,
making $15 an hour.
Right. Then it wouldn't be, if my boss didn't want me to hold people to a standard, or if my boss didn't really care kind of what happened during that hour, I might not push myself to that same level if I wasn't Natalie. But the fact that there's someone here who's continually investing in us, giving us the tools to do these things, encouraging us, and not forcing, but making it pretty obvious that we need to be taking these extra courses and things like that. I think that there's a different experience of that. But I do definitely see where he might get the basis for that.
Yeah, 100%. But the cream will rise to the top.
Right.
And so all the gyms that are doing that are putting the effort back into the coaches, doing coaches development, constantly, like, has a purpose behind the programming, right? Like, that was one of the things I said in this article, too, that really pissed me off, was that it's just a bunch of randomized programming thrown up on a board. And I'm like, excuse my language, but go fuck yourself.
Right. Right.
I think that's the most aggressive I've ever been on this podcast. And I'm really sorry. This fires me up because you should see my garage.
Well, when you take that much time.
You should see the amount of effort and time that I put into just programming for a group class.
Right.
And I talk with Meg about it all the time where I'm like, God, I got to stop spending so much time on this stuff. Because it's like, part of me is like banging my head against the wall to get somebody to get like a 2-second PR on their mile run.
Right.
And I'm like, how do I make this happen? You know, and like diving into it and trying to figure that stuff out. And then also like sitting there and coming up with, I mean, I've got like 3 different whiteboards in my garage, and one of them's like dedicated to programming, one of them's dedicated to coaches development, and another one's dedicated to the business. And it's like, if you have a purpose behind what you're doing, and you're investing back into your clients and back into your coaches and back into the gym, then it's just as good,
right?
If not better, in my opinion, way better than doing an open gym individualized programming model.
Right.
So I guess I'll just dive into it. Here's my opinion on what the best thing is that you can do as a CrossFit gym or any gym to get the best out of each one of your members. Everybody does a class. Everybody works out together. Everybody suffers together. And everybody is part of the community that you're trying to create. But on top of that, they have an individualized program that is giving them accessory work or strength work or endurance work or whatever it is that they're trying to get better at, improve, or fix. And they're doing that stuff off to the side after the class is over. And if necessary, the group class is also modified within their individualized program where they are doing the basic same stuff as everybody else, but let's say they got a bum wing, they got a bum shoulder. Then instead of doing Isabel, they're doing single arm dumbbell snatches and then some accessory work to work that right shoulder that's bum, right? And so, but they're still suffering with people and they're still working out. It's like, it's what makes the best is working out next to people that have the same goals and are pushing just as hard. It's like why CrossFit Mayhem wins the CrossFit Games every single year.
You have insight on that too. Like you were an indie athlete for so long and you went team this past year and you say it all the time. Like it's the hardest you've ever pushed.
So much harder.
Right. And
so much harder working with a team or even just working out with people. Because I spent the last 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 5 or 6 years basically doing all of my extra programming by myself in an empty gym. Because I owned a business and it was the only time I could do it. And getting the opportunity to work out with you guys this last year and working out with the team of people, that was the hardest I have ever pushed. And I've just like pushed my head into a wall wondering what it would have been like if I had that team around me for the last 6 years.
Well, and it drives you to some pretty intense places. Like you're able to push them into some intense places, and we hold intensity in very high regard in what we do.
It is the independent variable that gives you the biggest adaptation. Bottom line. Is intensity, which remember, folks, if you've taken your level 1, it is not ripping your hands and throwing up in a trash can. It's force times distance divided by time equals average power. Average power is your intensity. So we're talking about how much work can you actually do in a period of time, not how bad did you rip your hands or how heavy did you go or any of that stuff.
Well, and we're assuming that the coach has scaled the workout appropriately for you, so you're able to find intensity within that place that you are next to your partner who might be doing the workout written RX on the board. But I can guarantee if I'm taking a class WOD, if even I'm in the gym and there are 6 other people in the gym doing a different workout, but I'm working out at the same time as them, I'm going to push harder in that workout. It's just being a human.
We talk about it. One of my favorite, my favorite lecture to give at the level 1s is a programming lecture. It's the last lecture of the whole weekend, and we get to talk about how to create a good workout, basically. And one of my favorite parts within that programming lecture to talk about is volume. And so what I'll have people do is I'll say, hey, guys, okay, here, we'll go over a workout basically and do a timeline breakdown of how you would do a heavy day in your gym. So like you walk in and you just see 5x5 back squat. Like how am I going to fill an hour with a 5x5 back squat if done properly? And so before I even dive into the timeline and stuff, I say, okay, here's our workout, you guys. It's 5x5 back squat. And I say, before I go any further, I'm going to put this next to the 5x5 back squat. And I put an A. And then I go down and I put a B. And I put Cindy. AMRAP 20 minutes. 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 air squats. And I say, raise your hand if this is what your whiteboard looks like when you come into your gym most days. Lift heavy, Metcon here. And 90% or more of the class raises their hand. That is where people are getting injured. That is where people are running into problems. That's where coaching is being stifled is because they don't have the opportunity to coach. They don't have the time to modify. They don't have the time to go through the good progressions for movements and teaching the high skill gymnastics stuff or the Olympic weightlifting stuff, because they have dedicated 15 to 25 minutes to work on a specific warm-up, which is where you do all of that stuff.
Right.
And instead it's turned into a model of how much can I fit in an hour. And that's, I think, where James is able to basically go, well, look at what's happening over here.
Right.
But that's not what Greg has preached from the beginning. And it's not what we've taught at the L1 from the day I started doing the L1s in 2013
nor
or
is it
before.
what's still produced. Like, I mean, look at .com.
Look at .com.
Watch .com every day. The sport is obviously changing, but .com's, it's still, I mean, I look at it every day. It still follows that same methodology.
Exactly. And then I ask people, too, at the beginning of the lecture, I say, okay, raise your hand if you do an online program, and 90% of people raise their hand.
Right.
Comp Train, Misfit, Julie Faucher's stuff, or whatever, Dan Bailey's and stuff. And they all raise their hand, and I say, anybody do .com. Anybody. And everybody puts their hand down, and I'm like, it's the one place that invented this stuff,
right,
and has been doing it the longest, and we shy away from that because it's not sexy. Right? And I guarantee you that if you're doing one of these individualized programs that people are giving you, that it's not sexy, because that's the stuff that works.
No, they have titles like bitch work.
Yeah. Yeah, and you do it because it's cool. It sounds good, right? Yeah. So that's my opinion. My opinion is that you do have individualized programming that is given to you for whatever it is that you're going afterwards. And we have a few people in the gym here at Coast Range that do that. Chris Vanny's been doing it since the moment he walked into this gym.
Yeah.
And it's been awesome. I was able to build the last 6 programs for him that tackled his weaknesses, from range of motion to instabilities to building a solid base of strength. And now this last cycle, we worked through some explosive stuff in the Olympic lifts a little bit and getting into better positions, working the skill work of the split jerk and everything. And I'm going to meet with him later this afternoon, and we're going to go over his next 6-week program, which is diving deep into the Olympic lifts and trying to get him into the bottom of squat snatches and the bottom of cleans and jerks and adding the two together. But it's been a solid, 6 cycles that I've taken him through. And every one of those cycles, guess what? He had the class workout programmed in there. And he came in and did the class workout, and he worked out with everybody else.
Totally.
And he just came in on the other times that we were open and did his other stuff.
Yeah.
That's my ideal.
I think that's my biggest priority. I told Austin today, we had a member who injured her back, and we've been giving her some extra stuff, rehabbing to kind of get her back into classes. And today was the first day I had her get on a bike, and we're trying to figure out what hurts, what doesn't hurt, and how we can start to change things. And she's like, hey, well, are you what am I going to do? I was like, you're going to do the class. And I'm going to let the coaches know that her workout is adapted to the class.
Yeah.
Some days it'll look just like the class. Some days it will not look like the class, but she is coming to 8:30.
And she's going to be around people, and she's going to have that social environment.
And maybe during the specific warm-up, or maybe during the general warm-up, she'll be doing her rehab stuff. But she is coming to the 8:30 class. And I looked at her, I was like, you're coming to the 8:30 class, because I believe personally that that's where she's going to see the most success, is when she doesn't get lost and she doesn't have to come in and make it monotonous and do it by herself, because her, of all people, she's social. She loves that aspect. And it's probably what keeps her here a lot of the time. 100%. And I think that's why at the top of that quote, the first thing he says is community.
Yeah.
It's the best of both worlds, and community is the first thing. And I'm trying to picture that in my head, and I can't find that.
The OPEX gyms that I've been in and walked by, it was very quiet.
Right.
And I saw a lot of headphones on.
And there's a difference between quiet in an Olympic lifting gym and quiet in a fitness, a functional fitness gym, or
even a 24-hour fitness gym, right?
Right.
It had that same kind of feel, where everybody had their headphones in, nobody was talking to anybody, they're all doing their own thing, and I was like, this is a 24-hour gym, like a 24-hour fitness or Fitness Evolution gym, just looks like CrossFit. Right. That's what this is.
Well, and that to me, doesn't seem community driven. I mean, where does the community come in? Are we going to barbecues on the weekends?
Yeah.
Where's community?
Well, we were talking
happening?
about that before we came on here, right? And we were saying with Brett, I was like, well, I guess you could give people their same almost the same kind of program because they're after kind of the same goals. They can meet at the same times, do almost the same workouts, right?
You're making your own clicks.
Yeah, but
you have now chosen the clicks.
Yeah, I was just trying to think on James's side. It's like, okay, well, he said community. So trying to think put on his hat, where is the community on his side? Where is he seeing the community portion of it? I mean, we're kind of saying it's like, well, yeah, they're doing it, and everybody's doing the individual thing. They come in whenever they want. But where is he seeing the community side of it?
I mean, I guess to play devil's advocate, like you could use maybe the community is that they are a community of people that believe that this is the way.
They're all like-minded.
Yeah, they're all like-minded that believes that individual programming is the way, and they just happen to all be in the same gym. And so they have a little bit of that kind of like us versus the other guy thing, which is giving them a little bit more of a community feel.
But I would still argue that going through the same workout at 3, 2, 1, go, and experiencing the same pain, hopefully, as the person next to you forges a different kind of bond.
It's why military, fire, police, all that stuff that's why we call each other brothers and sisters.
Right.
Like they're not just people who work in the same place. You know, they've been through stuff together, and they forge that bond through suffering together, you know, and that's what makes CrossFit gyms so special.
And I think that's why so many servicemen and women find sort of a place in a CrossFit gym because they get that feeling again.
Yep.
Or they find that again. And so I would argue that in a class that's facilitated appropriately by a coach, by a professional who can modify a workout to fit you appropriately, performed in the group setting, is going to foster way more community.
Like you're doing with Austin.
Totally.
Yeah, that's it. And like what I do with Irving and with Lori and with Chris, you know, and it's like, or even Albert or Kyle or any of those guys, they all do our class workouts.
Right.
And every once in a while, I'll modify it up a little bit, or I'll make it a little harder, or I'll change the movement for them because they have a weakness they need. Right. So if it was like, for example, if it was super heavy deadlifts, which Albert is super good at, right? Like I might make it really light thrusters for him, or something. You know, like not saying that's actually what I would do, but like I might change that movement a little bit. But he's still working out with the class.
Totally.
And also with regards to the whole individualized coaching and whatnot, I mean, you're probably going to find that that's going to be a lot more costly than your typical group setting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a 6-week program with me costs $250.
Right.
Because it takes a long time.
Sure. And a lot more, a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of effort and everything. So I would say people that come into the gym, if you have any kind of issues with any kind of ailments in your body or whatnot, if you're trying to focus on something else within the workout, come early. Don't show up 2 minutes into the dynamic or whatever and think that you're going to get some help. Come early or stay after, and then we can ask a coach, hey, I've got this issue or I want to do this. What can I do? We can probably put something together for you. We can modify it. We can scale the workout so where you get the most benefit out of it.
Yeah, I think that's like if we look at other affiliates, CrossFit affiliates in general, and how we, in my opinion, can make the affiliate model better, it's a couple different things. It's number one, don't pack so much into the hour. Mm-hmm. Do one workout. Save your coaches time to actually work on the skills of stuff and give time for them to actually coach and teach. And then put some time gaps between your classes. So we have a 15-minute time gap between all of our classes for that specific purpose that Brett was just talking about, where if you got something going on, like, hey, my shoulder's been bothering me, my hip's been bothering me, or, hey, I'm running a marathon coming up in a month, any suggestions, anything like that, that 15-minute gap is there for that purpose, for that athlete to come up to the coach and to be like, hey, my shoulder's been bothering me, any suggestions on what I should do for today's workout, or even in the future. And that's exactly what happened with Austin and with Natalie. Is like she had something happen to her back right after the class was over. 15 minutes of discussion was going on between Natalie and Austin about like, hey, don't worry about it. We got you. It's going to be just fine. We're going to get stuff done for you. And then she comes in and she does the extra stuff beforehand or after and is able to check in with the coach and stuff. So if you're an affiliate out there that runs classes, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., every hour on the hour, and you're not affording that opportunity to spend that time after or before with your members, even in the class, you have somebody in the class who's struggling with a power clean, for example, you just like, all right, we'll see you later because I got the next class coming in, versus like, hey, I got 15 minutes. Let's spend 10 minutes working on this pool and making that a little bit better. Like, that's where the magic happens,
Totally.
you know? So do that, gyms. Like, give yourself a little bit of gap in between.
Well, and if you're trying to give your coaches another avenue to make a living, or you know, be like a Wes and create programs for a bunch of different athletes, I mean, I'm not saying that working with someone in the 15-minute gap is, I don't want anybody to pay me. Believe me, I do not want anybody to pay me. Mm-hmm. But if it then opens a door to like, oh shoot, I'm getting better at these things, I want to like commit time to this and get better at things. Yeah. It then gives your coach an avenue to be like, hey, we've been doing this for like 3 months now and you're rocking it. Yeah. Like, let's take this to the next level. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, and that's not selly at all. That's like, no, this is tangible. Like, you are getting better, and we're working on it for 15 minutes.
And
like,
I'm committed to you, and you're committed to me, and we're growing even a better bond between coach and athlete.
Right. And you and then it's just beautiful. Mm-hmm. Like, it morphs into this coach-client relationship.
Well, and that's like one of the biggest issues that CrossFit gym owners have is holding on to good coaches. Right. Because bottom line, we got so much square feet, we can only fit so many people in there, and the top dollar is set. Yep. You know, and that's it. And if we want to keep, so what's the comeback on that from other people? What do they say? Get more members then. Right. Like, get more members. If you get more members, you have more money, you can pay your coaches more. But then what happens to the quality of the client experience within the class if there's 30 or 40 people in a class? Goes way down. Yeah. Right? And so, like, that's not what I want at our gym. I don't want 30 and 40 people classes. I want like 10 and 15 people classes. And every once in a while on a Saturday we have a 20. It's fun, you know? Okay. And it's like, but I want smaller class sizes, but I still want the ability to pay my coaches well. Right. And so how do we do that? We have to create other avenues within the gym for them to make a living. So we find things that people are super interested in, like Natalie and Brett are nutritionists. That's what they do. They love that, and they are part owners in Coast Range Nutrition, which gives them or affords them the ability to make extra money on top of their salary. Mm-hmm. You can do that with programming, individualized programming too. You find a coach who really loves to program, and you market that. And if people want it, great, there you go. And that's a really good way as an affiliate owner to hang on to really good coaches and keep the experience of the client really high. Right. So let's go into this a little bit more. Okay, so we talked about community, fitness. Let's dive into that. Mm-hmm. So, like,
I think we did a little, but yeah.
But like, okay, so the claim is that by individual programming will get you the best fitness results. Right. Bottom line, you can't get it in a group setting.
Bottom line.
That's what they're claiming through OPEX, yeah, or open gym model. Right.
I think that. So one, we talked about intensity and the intensity level you're going to push yourself to when you're with other people. But the other thing that we do, like personally, Coast Range does, is we have what's called above and beyond programming, and it's a like an avenue. It's free to members, and it has extra stuff for you to do. It's essentially like take a top dollar program that's on the market today that has strength, conditioning, like a Metcon, maybe a gymnastics or accessory piece. And that's essentially what Above and Beyond is. And any person could look at Above and Beyond and go, okay, this is my weakness and this is what I need to do. And it is definitely individualized in the sense that if I need to work on my conditioning, I can look at that and do that. But it's also built around what you're already doing in the classes. Yeah. So then you're not overtraining, or you're, you know, it's thought about it. Someone's thinking about your progress and the cycle and, you know, where you're going to get and things like that. So I think that's one way that we kind of refute that.
Yeah, totally. Because the last thing I want is that somebody can't work on a weakness or get fitter or be healthier because they don't have the funds to do it. Right. You know, and I get that. Like, totally. It's expensive to have an individualized program. It's expensive to have this stuff. And that's the point, is that you're investing money into something. And when you invest money into something, you're more likely to do it to its fullest effort. Right. But when it's free, I've seen it over and over and over again. I've done nutrition stuff for people for free. I've done extra programming for people for free. Totally. I've done all that stuff for years, and nobody puts in full effort when you give it to them for free. Mm-hmm. They just don't. But we also want to make the barrier to entry, that stuff, just easy for people. Right. And so that's why I created Above and Beyond. It was like, what we're doing in the group class has a purpose. What we do in Above and Beyond has a purpose, and it goes with what our main goal is in the cycle that we're on within the gym. So you're guaranteed to not overtrain a certain movement pattern. You're guaranteed to not underwork a certain movement pattern, as long as you just follow along with the stuff that we're doing on Above and Beyond or in our classes.
Right.
And then you can work on whatever it is you want. And like you said, it's completely 100% free.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it. Do it. You know, if that's your complaint.
Well, and it fosters to every, skill level, because I can pick one thing extra to do, or a high level athlete, I can do the program.
Mm-hmm.
And again, none of it's going to butt heads with each other, which is ideal.
Yep. Personal improvement.
Well, what kind, like fitness personal improvement? I feel like I have questions about that one.
Personal improvement.
Interesting.
I don't know. I'm so over this. Like, in a way, I'm not. I'm just like, being bah humbug over here. But
when we, and specifically Brett and Wes and I have talked a lot about like what we think our hierarchy is, and like where certain things into what personal improvement, like I guess you could say personal improvement. Like we've laid out our pyramid to get to personal improvement and to health. And I mean, fitness, like your physical, like you giving all of this time and energy to fitness, like working out, is at the top of our pyramid, right? Like there are a lot of baseline things we need to get in check before we, and even in our last podcast talking with Christina, like there's a lot of things you need to do to get your stress under control and all of those things before it's even going to benefit you.
Yeah, totally.
To like push super hard in a workout. And so it's interesting because personal improvement, I think that there are a lot of beyond fitness improvement that happens within a gym, or at least within our gym. And I've seen people grow exponentially. I've only been here for a year, and I've seen members of ours come in and grow just because of the environment they're in, the overwhelmingly positive environment that they're in. I've seen people who have like crazy life stories come in and like find so much refuge because they're able to invest in themselves alongside other people. And like there is a lot of personal improvement that comes with the setting that we create here.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to say personal improvement.
I guess he's probably focusing on being the whole individual. I'm also trying to take on James's viewpoint on his side as well.
Yeah,
I
think it's important that we say not just James
totally.
too, but like anybody who believes that like
school thought.
Open gym model is the way.
Right.
You know, like let us do what we want.
And again, I think there's not going to be the whole CrossFit. I don't know who said it or whatnot, but it was CrossFit is for everyone or anyone. It's not for everyone.
Yeah, Greg said that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, CrossFit is for everyone, but it's not for everyone.
And I think this open gym thing, it's for anyone who can do it, but it's not for everybody. So there's certain points that people might get benefit on that versus the group setting, but I don't think that there's one ideal holy grail. This is the way, and everything else is crap. And we are the top, and everything else is bad. I don't think that is the process. I think we're kind of going through that and saying, okay, yeah, we can see at this point, but this is our standpoint too. And I think that either both cases have merits on each end.
I think what I've just anecdotally seen over the last decade of coaching and doing this is that people get the best benefits from working out in a group with other people. It's just when they're part of a tribe, when they suffer next to somebody else, they create bonds. They're more willing to come to class to work out. They're more willing to push hard than if they're doing it by themselves. And the gym is just more fun.
Right.
Like bottom line, like when you're in a gym that has group setting, it's just more fun, man. And fun leads to usually results. And yes, there needs to be way more effort put in on affiliate owners, sides of coaches development and making sure that the programming is legit and that they're even pushing the model of like, hey, if you want to get better, like we do individualized programming. Like just so everybody knows, like at Coast Range, we do individualized programming if you want it, and it's here for you if you need it, but it's also free too.
Right.
On the side if you don't want to pay for it, and I think I think that's the best way to do it. Is to everybody does a group class, but you have a little individualized thing that you're doing off to the side afterwards as well, and that's something that we're working on developing, like as far as like times to do that at our gym. Right now we have it set up where as long as you do the class workout, afterwards you're more than welcome to go find a corner of the gym and do your stuff, but you got to do the class workout, bottom line. And that's even holds true where we have people that like can't make the class workout in that time, so they'll come in early, do their extra stuff, go home, go to work, and then come back and do the class later. Because they're still being part of the community, and it's like, okay, that's cool. And they've worked that out with the coach, and everybody's in understanding of what's going on and stuff. It's not just some random dude walking in and going to a corner and doing his own thing and leaving, I can't tell you how many times we've had drop-ins come in and ask if they can do their programming, and I've been like, nope. Sorry. Like, unless you're a games athlete, and I can say this with experience, you don't need to be doing your special individualized programming off to the side. I am saying that because 99% of games athletes, if Matt Fraser walked into this gym tomorrow, he would have no problem doing whatever the hell it is up on that board without him knowing. He'd be like, yeah, cool. I'll do that workout. Sounds good. And then I'm going to go do my extra stuff. Because they understand that it's not the super secret programming that's making it. It's the intensity. It's the constantly varied. It's pushing themselves, And so I guarantee you that those guys, the top level tier athletes in this world, are the ones that are more willing to do that stuff than the lower level athletes are.
Yeah. Well, and you don't get all freaked out about, oh, it's going to affect this, and it's going to ruin this, and it's going to hurt this. And it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not going to do that.
You're going to be just fine. Yeah. All right, let's wrap this up. Okay, so let's start with Brett. What's your opinion, Brett?
I feel that there's no 100% this is the way, everything else sucks type of thing, but I do understand that with our group setting, there's benefit both mentally and physically working out in a group versus individual. A lot of people that you talk to that are work out in the garage sometimes they say, yeah, it's kind of just, I was doing it for a while, but it was kind of hard to push myself. And that's a whole thing of coming into a group setting. I think mentally, everything else with regards to the group setting, you gain friends or whatever, you kind of create those bonds that Christina, trying to tie into last week, how Christina said that's one of the big things is having a social setting. You're going to get fit, you're going to grow. Come in and do the group class.
Yeah, I think that one of the main things I talk to people when they come in and talk about CrossFit, whether it be here or anywhere that I am, and they want to know more about CrossFit, one of the things I say is, I'm not going to sell you on this. Like it's the people here that are going to sell you on this. Like that is the biggest selling point for me is like, I know these people, I like these people, I think you'll like them too. And working alongside them is going to be beneficial for you. Obviously, I break down what CrossFit is and all that kind of stuff, but really it's the community that sells somebody probably 8 out of 10 times. And so I'm not against individual programming at all, especially as an athlete. Like I am all about it. I'm all about working weaknesses and all that stuff, but I think that there is definitely a niche and a place for a group class, and there is also a place for individual programming, and I think that they can be married really nicely in some ways that we highlighted in this podcast.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the ideal scenario for somebody who is wanting more than just general physical preparedness and health is that they do group classes and individualized programming off to the side. And I think that the ideal thing for people that are just after being healthy, living a long period of time, feeling good, looking in the mirror and being happy is group classes. I think that's where you're going to get the most benefit in an hour, and the most bang for your buck, and you're going to probably live the longest.
There you go.
Cool. if you guys have any opinions on this stuff, we would love to hear it. So hit us up on Instagram at the Coast Range Podcast. Send us your guys' ideas on this subject, and we'd love to debate. Also, if you're looking for any type of nutrition advice or anything like that, make sure you hit up Natalie or Brett at the Coast Range Nutrition on Instagram. And if you guys are looking for individualized programming in a group setting, we're here for you too.
We got your back.
Yeah, and we can help you guys out with that as well. Thanks for listening, and we hope that you come back and listen soon.
See ya.
Wahoo!